First and foremost, don't overthink it. You've got an idea, you've got something you're passionate about, but just take the leap. Don't start the business and think, kind of influencers. All over social media, you see, oh, hey, all I got to do is click these 3 buttons and I'm going to be making $100,000 a month. Be patient, have a plan, and stick to it. And most importantly, just don't get discouraged, because you're going to have days that suck. Just believe in yourself, be passionate about it, and you should do just fine.
Welcome back to Mic'd Up. I'm your host, Mike DiCioccio, and on today's show, we're going to unpack what it takes to build a business from the ground up, face devastating challenges, and come back stronger than ever. Today's guest has lived through it all, from climbing the ranks in the mortgage industry to running multiple successful ventures, including franchises, real estate, and a thriving golf cart company. But when the pandemic hit, he faced one of the toughest battles, as many of us did, in his life, leading to both business and personal bankruptcy. But now he's on a mission to help small and medium-sized business owners avoid those pitfalls that he encountered by teaching them how to build corporate credit properly. He's passionate about empowering entrepreneurs to make smart financial decisions and thrive in today's competitive landscape. Let's dive in to an inspiring conversation about resilience, lessons learned, and how to build a business that lasts. Welcome to the show, Darren Crosby.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, my man. I just want everybody to know, if you're new to Darren, you don't know his story yet, we appreciate you being with us. I got everything for him linked in the show notes. I know he's very active on LinkedIn. I got that in there. Darren, send me your website. We'll make sure everything gets out to our audience today. For our audience, kind of being the fly in the wall to our conversation today, Darren and I met a couple weeks ago. I really liked his story and just was inspired about when I learned a little bit more and did some homework. He is the perfect guest about adversity, as you heard in the intro, overcoming it and coming out even stronger. So I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's start from the beginning. I mean, at an early age, you had this desire to start a business. We're talking like really young, right? So did you have like a father figure, an uncle, a grandfather, someone in business that had that entrepreneurial spark or help you get that spark?
No, I'm not really sure where it came about. I got started when I was about 10 years old, stuffing flyers in the mailboxes of my neighborhood, offering my lawn mowing and babysitting services. And I look back on it now because when I'm in that neck of the woods, I'll drive through the old neighborhood, and I look back, I'm like, no wonder I was mowing everybody's lawn, because the average lot was about an acre. This was 1982, and I was only charging $5. Well, for a 10-year-old that's raking in,
yeah, you felt like a big deal.
$300 a week. I thought I was, Bill Gates, and but I think that's what really kind of sparked it, and put myself through college working in restaurants, so assumed, well, heck, I just own a restaurant. And
yeah, let's actually go there, because you were in that restaurant industry for 12 years, right? And then you kind of realized that wasn't the lifestyle you wanted. Can you share some of the lessons? I mean, the restaurant industry always fascinates me. I think I would like to run a restaurant at some point in my life, but everybody I know that has done it or currently is doing it, they're like running the opposite direction. So tell me a little bit about your personal experience and how that kind of shaped your future ventures as well.
Yeah. No, first and foremost, I think that everybody ought to work in the restaurant industry at some point. I had all 4 of my kids do it because I think it teaches you resilience, work ethic, people skills, and you see behind the scenes just how hard it is to make a restaurant and a business run. smoothly. And, I tell my kids at an early age, like, hey guys, when we go out to eat, the server comes over to tell us the daily specials. You make eye contact and you appreciate them. They bring your food, they refill your drink. You say thank you every single time. And if the service is bad or your meal's messed up, you don't take it out on the server because it might not be their fault. And last but not least, even if you had lousy service, you still tip 20%. If you have great service, tip them 30, 35%. But these people are working hard. And I think those 12 years in the restaurant business is what really kind of shaped my work ethic. But to your point, after 12 years in it, I was like, I'm working 75, 80 hours a week. My days off are when all my friends are working. And it's wake up, go to work, crawl into bed at about 3 o'clock in the morning and
because you're not going to take Friday night off. You're not taking Saturday and probably Sunday off. So you might get half of a Tuesday off or a Wednesday morning off or something. But again, your buddies are all working, right? So you're not able to do that. And then your family wants your attention as well during the weekends. And I did retail before I got into entrepreneurship. And I, aside from my first job ever working at a taco place where, I was making tacos and working in the back and cleaning dishes and all that stuff. I have that. It's a restaurant, but it was a fast food restaurant, that experience. But really my background that's similar to what you just said was customer service, worked in a mall kiosk, worked retail, and then also worked in bigger retail environments where it was higher ticket items. And those experiences really shaped me into appreciating people and the whole idea of it's not transactional selling, it's consultative, get to know them, listen to thetheir stories. And at a restaurant, the biggest thing is the experience, right? I mean, the food has to be great too, but if you have a bad experience and good food, they're not coming back a second time. No. So that server who just gives you that, man, it's like you're a guest at my house vibe, and they're really cool and they kind of pick up on different things. And also, this isn't a plug for my company, Social Chameleon, but the reason I like the word chameleon in our title is because a good server, a good wait staff, or a good salesperson can still be authentic to themselves and the things they believe in and care about. But when they're working with different tables or different clients, they can be a chameleon and change a little bit to make, someone's got a Bills hat, so they talk a little bit about football with that guy, or someone's wearing a, funny t-shirt and they don't just overlook it. They acknowledge it. And it shows some personality and character behind that person. And they're not doing it just for the tip. They're doing it for the experience. The tip will follow, So I think a lot of people listening can relate to that.
Yeah. They, along those lines, you're approaching a table to get their drink or their food or whatever the case may be. And it's kind of like the old saying, read the room.
Right.
You got table 2 that you might interact with them a little different than table number 5.
Exactly. And a really good server gets that. They learn it over time. It is a skill. It's a total learned skill. And without that experience, it's hard to really be able to do that. You got to get out there and you got to do it. And like you said, with your family, when you're on the other side of it, now you're the guest, same thing. Like every waiter you have is different, but you want to treat them with respect and interact with them in a personable way. And just be someone that they're like, man, I liked work. Like that family was really nice. That was a great table, and they'll probably remember you the next time you come in. Like, hey, I want that table. They'll like fight over you, So from the restaurant industry, you were highly successful in the mortgage industry. You're actually I did the math. You sent me some of the numbers. You were a top 1% producer when you do the math, right? So what do you think personally set you aside from some of the other producers in that company?
So I got started in the mortgage business in 1999, had no idea what I was doing. And I was like, well, real estate agents are working with potential homeowners. So I just started walking into real estate offices and shaking hands and kissing babies, playing politician, trying to convince real estate agents to send me loans. Took about 2 years for me to really kind of grow my pipeline where it was consistent. And then I just kind of took a different approach on how I dealt with my clients. You know, you can make the argument that the mortgage industry is a commodity. You've got a 30-year fixed rate loan. Wells Fargo's offering 7%. Bank of America's offering 6.75. So you go Bank of America.
Yeah.
And in the mortgage industry, people are notorious for, you know, cutting their commission to make the loan work and get the loan in the door, to make sure the pricing works. And I never did that. I made sure that I was delivering value and communicating to my clients why I was one of the best in the business. And, you know, as a result, ended up being highly successful in it. And I also did a unique approach to my past customer marketing, where I would break out my closed customers into 3 categories: VIP, preferred, and everybody else. My VIPs got something from me on a monthly basis. Preferreds every other month. And then everybody else quarterly.
Was that something you created and established? Like, I want to have this customer kind of loyalty system? Yeah.
Yeah, because I sat there and looked at it. I was like, hey, you know, why am I chasing real estate agents when these people already trusted me? Just stay top of mind with them, and I would do all sorts of unique things. I would send my assistant to Costco for, you know, Memorial Day, and she'd buy a bunch of McCormick's blackened seasoning. We would repackage it, put a little sticker on it with the, you know, whatever the tagline was, Crosby's custom meat rub.
Yeah.
And we would send that out with a little, you know, postcard. And I'd get clients calling me. They're like, this is the best damn meat rub I've ever had.
And it costs you what, $4 to do all that and send it to them? Probably $5. And for $5 you made, this might sound a little bit like I'm schmoozing, but it's a lifetime impression. People probably still remember that. You're not even in the mortgage business. Well, are you still in the mortgage business? No.
No, I provide lending services,
right.
But on the,
it's a business loan. Yeah. So, but you're not in that industry anymore, but I guarantee people will remember that, getting that from you. And, you know, it's a cool thing. And it's just a reminder for our audience, like, what are you doing? What are those little things? It doesn't have to be sending a gift necessarily, but maybe it's acknowledging something, again, like the waiter, acknowledging the customer. How are you acknowledging your clients or giving them that extra level? Really do appreciate you sharing that. Anything else about the mortgage business? I know you left, it was 2007 or so that you left. That was right before the crash, right? So was that intentional, or was that part of the reason that you left?
So I was working for a large company here in Atlanta, and in July of 2007, branched out and started my own.
Okay, so you literally started your own mortgage business the year before the crash?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And by September of 2007, probably about 50% of the mortgage banks in the country were out of business because they were getting their credit lines pulled and everything. And I was like, wow, I didn't see this coming. But we thrived, started off with 5 employees, grew it up to about 35 loan officers and 15 to 20 support staff, and then just reached a point where I was just burned out on the mortgage business, tired of managing people,
right?
Tired of the risk associated with it. And, you know, along the way, I had 3 Wingstop locations here in Atlanta, quick service chicken wing restaurant.
Yeah. What got you into that? I personally, you know, a little bit of my backstory. I'm from Buffalo, New York, where the chicken wing originated from. So what got you into Wingstop? Was it just an opportunity that presented itself, or you were interested in doing something in that fast food, but with wings?
A little bit of both. You know, I'm born and raised in Atlanta. I have no desire to live anywhere else. And Wingstop was fairly new to Atlanta at that point. They only had about 6 or 7 locations.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking for a franchise concept that did not have a big presence, that I could help grow it and build it. But I had 3 of them. And then a venture capital firm came along and made me and my business partner an offer we couldn't refuse.
Yeah. So you obviously you started with one, you were successful with that first location and then got 2 others, or did you start off like, I want to start with 3 and have them in these different locations?
Started with one, had it for about 12, 18 months before we opened location number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then location number 3 was probably about 9 or 10 months after that.
That's a lot of moving pieces, man. I give you a lot of credit. I mean, guys tuning in right now, we appreciate you being with us, but do you hear this? Like the amount of energy and the amount of sleep you weren't doing during those days, I'm sure it's incredible. And then you just continue moving on. What I love about the entrepreneurial journey is you just continue. There is no failure. You just continue to learn, right? So it's not just a cheesy poster on the wall. It's literally what you were doing. You were failing forward and or learning forward, I should say, and you just kept moving and moving and moving, and you're still constantly moving. And it's hard for me to keep up with your story. But so those ventures worked for how many years? Wingstop, you were there for?
Wingstop, I had that. Going side by side with my mortgage company and then going into when I bought the golf cart company. Mm-hmm. But in total, I had the Wingstops, I guess, for about 5 or 6 years, maybe, before we sold them.
Was there something you loved about them that you missed? What was the coolest Wingstop story you can share?
Oh, the chicken wings and French fries are phenomenal.
Yeah, I've never had them because it's just the market I grew up in. Everything was a family-owned, one-off business at the corner, But I'll definitely have to try them and compare. I actually live in the Philly area now, and I don't know if we have any in my near area, but I'm sure they do closer to the city. I'll have to check that out. Very cool. So you just loved it. That you loved the food. They had great food. Any restaurant ownership stories that you remember that you were fond of and kind of you look back on, and it's kind of like looking back on those high school years, like, didn't always love high school, but there's those fun, cool moments we had with our buddies. Is it kind of the same thing when you look back on some of those early businesses you were developing?
Yeah, no, I made some great friends along the way that I still have to this day. And, but the restaurant chapter of my life is 100% in rearview mirror. Put
the period on the sentence and you turn the page. Real quick about franchising. One of my close friends, and he does sometimes co-host a show, Dave Ragosa. He's in the franchising world with Ford's Garage, which I don't know if they have anything in Atlanta yet, but they're really big in Florida. They keep popping up all over Florida. Ford's Garage. Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it, but there's not any in Atlanta that I'm aware of.
Yeah. It's really cool because they have like the old Model T Fords. They have like all the old style cars. And when you go there, the atmosphere feels very much like you're in a garage with a bunch of old nostalgia in cars. This is really fun. They got great burgers, great food. But that's the business season, and he helps develop and launch these different franchises. But talk to our audience about, you're going to start your own business, going the franchise route versus starting your own business. What would you recommend and why? Why would you lean someone in the franchise direction? Why would you say, hey, maybe I think this is a better idea for you to just start your own thing?
Yeah. I think part of it has to do with your own kind of chemistry, makeup, and mindset. And the reason why I say that is, I had the entrepreneurial mindset from starting my mortgage company. And in hindsight, I probably wasn't the best franchisee because I would be telling our franchise rep at Wingstop Corporate that, hey, this makes no sense the way you want us to do this stuff.
Right.
With that being said, I think the franchise model is a fantastic model because as opposed to learning and making mistakes and falling down and getting back up on your own, with the right franchise concept, you've got sort of a done for you blueprint on how to make sure you're successful.
Right.
And,
instead of going through instead of going through the maze yourself and needing to unlock every door and hit your head until you break through a wall. Right. Other people have done that already. So now they have a roadmap to, hey, just go this way, make a left, make a right, and you're at the end. But there's still those situations where you're thinking as an entrepreneur, you're like, I think there's a better way. And even though they have this and it's the formula can be changed. You look at things in whether it's in sports or business or any industry, there are things that disrupt the industry at some point.
Yeah. And, I think if you approach the franchise model the right way, you can be hugely successful regardless of the concept. And what I mean by the right way is I have a friend of mine. He was, 20 plus years in the tech space, doing sales and whatnot. And about 4 years ago, he started a Zoom and Grooming franchise that is a mobile pet grooming.
Yeah, that's great.
And, and if you talk to him, you go, oh, hey, so Paul, you're a pet groomer. And he goes, no, I'm not. I'm a business owner. And I have groomers that work for me. And, so he took his experience from the corporate world and having to do, weekly reports, sales forecasts, you name it, budgeting and everything, and just took everything that he learned over 20 plus years in the tech space and is applying it to his Zoom and Grooming franchise. And he's killing it. And I asked him when I first met him, I was like, what did you know about pet grooming? He's like, nothing. He's like, I knew I wanted something in the home services world, something that can't be replaced by AI. And people will spend more on their pets than they will taking care of themselves.
It's true. It's very true. Yeah.
And so he's like, this is brilliant.
There was a need. And then he also solved an issue, which was time and convenience of driving out there and taking extra time out of your day or needing to take a half a day off of work so you can bring your pet in and do whatever it is, or try to fit it in on a busy weekend and come to you, take care of it, in and out, and again, his interest wasn't so much in doing it himself. Obviously that was not in the plan, and that's okay. And anyone who's tuning in, what's the thing that maybe you want to build and delegate the right people, put the team together, but you want to be the head coach or the GM, right, of the team. You don't want to be the quarterback. That's not your position. Your position's a GM. Find the right people, build, grow, adapt, train, retain. And that's what he was great at, Yeah.
And that's the approach I take in, whether it's the mortgage business, owning the Wingstops, having my golf cart company, is, it's the old saying, if your business can't operate without you, you don't have a business.
Yep.
And, like when I had my mortgage company, me and my wife and kids, we would go on vacation for 2 straight weeks every summer. And everybody knew not to contact me.
Yeah.
And
it's a beautiful thing.
The business didn't skip a beat. I was still making money, sitting on the beach, getting a suntan, having a cold adult beverage.
Yeah.
And, and same thing with the restaurant business. I hired a guy that I trusted tremendously and is to this day still one of my closest friends. And, and he ran the restaurants for us. And I was like,
he was your point guard. Like he was the person that you had trusted to run those. You can go in, visit him. You can call him anytime, but he was the one really boots on the ground for you.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
I had no desire to drop a basket of fries in the fryer, put together a 10-piece combo.
Right. But in your first couple months, you probably would do that because especially when it's someone's own restaurant, that is literally how you start. You're doing it all yourself, wearing every hat. I do want to talk a little bit about the golf cart business. We're going to get there in a second. We're going to take a quick time out to pay the bills here. So I want to give a little shout out to my company. I teased it a little bit earlier, socialchameleon.us. You press record, we handle the rest. We are a podcasting done for you service. We work with entrepreneurs and B2Bs who are looking to create and launch a podcast, but all they want to do is host their show, whether it's a solo or if it's an interview like this, and they don't want to do the work. They don't want to create the content. Fine. That is why we exist. You press record, we handle the rest. Check us out at socialchameleon.us. And also a couple of our affiliates. One of them is riverside.fm, and that's actually how we're recording this right now. You're in Atlanta right now, right?
Yep.
And I'm outside Philly. So we're doing this remotely on riverside.fm for great audio quality and video quality. And also the way we get this on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere podcasts live, Libsyn.com. It's Libsyn.com. And I love them, been working with them for many years. And the reason we stay with them is they're reliable. Whenever I needed their service department, we just talked about service a moment ago. They were high class, world class, and then also been around for over, I think, 15 years. So a lot of these newer distribution companies come and go and they get bought out, but I've been very happy with them over the last few years. So I talked about it before that quick ad break there. Golf carts, interesting business to get into. You saw an incredible growth though. Under your leadership, it was what, 900,000, and you 2.5x'd it before it ended up, the pandemic hit, and the golf cart business is very much a foot traffic business. People, and nobody could see each other for months and months. So talk about how that was thriving, and then you got hit with that curveball.
Yeah. So I bought the golf cart company in October of 2013. As you mentioned, it was doing about $900,000 a year in top line revenue. I had a fantastic business model that unfortunately COVID did not like. And, but I had the largest rental fleet in Atlanta, and I only had 2 competitors, and I provided golf carts to all the festivals and events around town. When I bought the golf cart company, there was plus or minus 100 golf carts in the fleet. I grew it up to about 250. We closed the books on 2019 at just shy of $2.5 million in revenue.
Yeah.
And
it's funny that the growth of the quantity of golf carts was linear with your financial revenue growth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, basically it was 2.5 times. Yeah. You know what I love about that? I just want to say something real quick. I hear golf carts. My simple brain thinks what? Golf. Playing golf. And that you're selling these off to country clubs and whatever. The entrepreneur thinks, no, what else could you do with golf carts? Events, right? Getting people around at big theme parks and outdoor events and summer concerts and all kinds of really cool things. So again, simple mind thinks golf carts are for golf. Entrepreneur thinks, how can I turn this into a 12-month business?
Yeah. But it was going great. Loved it. Once again, I had a great team working for me, and I could go out of town for a week or 2 weeks and not have to worry about work and not skip a beat. And like I said, I had a great business model until COVID hit. And a date that is etched in my memory, like 9/11 is for a lot of Americans, is March 6th, 2020. We were just getting ramped up for our peak spring festival season. And within about 3 to 4 hours between phone calls and emails, I had every event cancel on me for the next 4 months. And called around all my festival and event folks. I'm like, hey guys, what is this coming back? And they're like, it's going to be at least a year. It ended up being 2 years. And I had a 20,000 square foot warehouse space that I housed them in. Landlord was not willing to work with me. And so I told him, I said, look, I'm not at a poker table in Vegas bluffing. You either go with what I'm proposing, or I'll bankrupt the business and tie up this space through the end of the year. And I don't think you have anybody knocking down your door.
Right, because everyone else is in a similar situation, especially if they're going to have something that's going to go in a warehouse, products or whatever it could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did he end up doing?
So June 30th of 2020, I bankrupted the company and had to file personal bankruptcy because I was personal guarantor on an owner-held note and also a large line of credit that I used to purchase the golf carts. And to put things in perspective, 85, 90% of my revenue came from rentals to the festivals and events. And June 30th of 2019, we'd done a hair over 1.3 million in revenue. And June 30th of 2020, we'd done $125,000.
Whoa.
Year to date.
What was the number before that? Did you say million or billion? It was million.
A little over 1.3 million.
Million. Okay. And went down
for the first 6 months in 2019.
Right.
And that same time frame, 2020, we had done about 125,000 in revenue.
Right. Holy smokes. Okay. So you had no option, and inevitable bankruptcy was really your only play. So share some of the things that you would say, you know what, that situation happened. Nobody can control it. COVID was happening, whatever. We're not going to get into the conspiracy side of it, but it happened as business owners and really even W-2s. They had to figure out, people were losing their jobs. What are they doing? Getting into a new job, working remotely, starting a remote company, whatever they could do to make ends meet and raise their family and everything. What lessons would you say you learned during that time? Were there things you're like, I'm never going to make this mistake again, or I got to have a recession-proof business? Or what were some of the things that you learned? I know you started a business later on to help people in different ways leverage loans and money, but what about just that particular experience? Can you share some insights on what you've learned?
Not that this is necessarily the right answer, but for me personally, I was like, I don't want overhead anymore. I don't want overhead. I don't want employees. I want to just do my own thing. My overhead is my mortgage payment, which I have regardless, because I work from home. And but then at the same time, I'm like, well, what can I do where I'm bringing my experience of being an entrepreneur, my home runs and my strikeouts, to make small, medium-sized businesses as successful as possible. I've always been passionate about them. And I was at a networking event a couple of weeks ago and told somebody, I said, look, I buy from Amazon just like everybody else. I got a question, I go to Google. My watch, my phone, my laptop are all Apple products. Well, guess what? Those businesses are never going out of business. But there's plenty of small, medium-sized businesses where Mike is bringing a fantastic product or service to market, but has no idea how to run a business.
Right.
And ends up going out of business. And I hate to see that happen. And so that's where I just try to provide an outside set of eyeballs for a business owner on how to run their business better and how to set it up in a smart, strategic, financial way for success.
Here's what I love about it, because we just talked about your story. There's a lot of good there, a lot of bad there, and some ugly there as well. And most of that was out of your control. You bounce back from it. You have the personal experience that qualifies you as a coach to help people navigate through adversity, build a successful, thriving business, multiple locations. You grew a golf cart business from 900 to 2.5 million. You've done this. You got the whole experience, and now you can coach people. Like, you can go to someone confidently and say, I can help you do this because I've done it. And a lot of times I feel like right now we got influencers who go viral for certain reasons. And I'm not trying to sound like the old man yelling at my lawn right now, but you got influencers and people who become popular, famous for one particular thing, or maybe they don't even have that. And they're trying to sell something that they don't have experience in and they haven't done themselves. And you're like, you're going to teach me how to do what now? Like, how did you do that? And they're like, oh, I'm getting into, or they went to school for business entrepreneurship or something. And it's like, how many businesses have you turned from, 500,000 to 3 million?
Yeah.
I haven't run a business in my life. And it's like, how are you coaching? So really important lesson I want everybody, I don't want it to go over their head or just to maul past this, is if you're going to hire someone, look for a Darren, because he's got the freaking experience and he knows what's like, he can legitimately help you. And I want to talk about not just help, but also an experience that you learned from the the golf cart business was corporate credit, right? If you could have had corporate credit that you didn't even know about, you probably could have saved that business. Although you said you wanted to get out of the overhead game anyways. For those that are kind of just getting into business, maybe they're a little bit green, even myself included. I know basics on corporate credit, but talk about some of the essentials and how that can really help a business get through some of the harder times. And if they're doing good, how they can do great.
Yep. So I had no idea corporate credit existed until.
Or you probably thought you had to be Apple or a big company like you just mentioned to get approved.
And so corporate credit, I help business owners build and establish a corporate credit tied to their employee identification number. But what that does is it ends up giving them access to capital, working capital lines of credit, you name it, without any personal guarantees. On a daily basis, I'll talk to somebody like, oh, I've got business credit. I've got a J-Sync for business, or I've got a Platinum Amex for business. Well, if your name's on there, you're personally guaranteeing it. And what people don't realize is there's only about 5% of the financial institutions that intentionally report a positive payment history to the business credit bureaus. Amex doesn't, Chase doesn't, a lot of them don't. Mm-hmm. And so we've got a software platform where we coach and walk through the business owner on the steps, how to do it. And, it takes anywhere from 9 to 12 months, but they're able to access their capital and separate their personal assets from the business. And, and what's unique about it, and why, going back to my golf cart company, it would still be in business today, is it has nothing to do with financials, tax returns. It's all based on a multiple of your monthly spend in terms of operating expenses.
You're talking about for getting approved?
Or for how much you can get access to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is the formula that they use to figure out Joe Schmo business XYZ is going to get 50 grand because of these variables.
Yeah. And so you ultimately get access to about 10 times your monthly spend. Mm-hmm. So take my golf cart company. In 2019, my monthly 25. Spend was, somewhere around 175 grand a month. Mm. And so when COVID hit, I could have had a 1.7, close to $2 million line of credit.
Right.
And when my landlord wasn't willing to work with me, I could have told all my guys, hey, go drive Uber, DoorDash, whatever, and I'll call you when this comes back. And I could have just covered the bare minimum overhead.
Yeah.
And floated it on the line of credit until the business came back.
Right. And it eventually would have. And then there's inflation like crazy now. So I'm sure your rates could have went up after COVID and you would have made up a lot of that lost ground. You see it with, speaking of restaurants or everywhere, like if you went out in 2019 or 2018 and you paid $100 for something, that same experience and cost right now is like 200 or 250 in a lot of situations. And just the world that we're in, a lot of people needed to make up for 2 years of loss just to survive. So that's really good input. And again, it doesn't have to be to survive through a pandemic, but to grow through the regular roller coaster ride of business. And
Yeah.
even if you're doing well, having that line of credit now you can put more into marketing, or you can double down on things that are going well. If you want to invest even more money into it, a private line of credit like that. Do you have experience between going private lender, like a personal loan, or not a personal loan, but like a business loan that's through maybe a private opposed to a bank? Have you ever experienced that at all? Or
Yeah. You typically want to stray away from some of the more alternative types of credit, like a private lender, or there's what's called emergent cash advances, where you're getting money now based on your accounts receivables, because that's going to be a much higher borderline predatory interest rates.
Yeah.
And terms. So going through a financial institution just makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I mean, when I was getting the golf cart, when I first bought the golf cart company, I went to some of those alternative methods, because even though it had been in business for almost 10 years and had been profitable, I couldn't get a bank loan because I hadn't owned it for 2 years.
Yeah, there's different stipulations. So in a situation like that, someone may not have that many options too. I know there are good private options as well. I've had some people on the show that actually run some of those businesses. So anyone who's tuning in, all I'm going to say about that is do your homework and know what you're getting into. Don't be blindsided, and don't be vulnerable, right? Because
there's definitely good private lenders out there, but read the fine print.
Exactly. So I got you for a couple more minutes here. I like to kind of put a big bow on this here with all your experience, and especially in entrepreneurship. Someone's tuning in right now, and hey, we thank them for being here all the way at the end of the interview. You can give them 1, 2, maybe 3 things to consider when they're starting their business, like must-haves or mistakes not to make. What would you tell that person?
First and foremost, don't overthink it. You've got an idea, you've got something you're passionate about, but just take the leap. And, and then also make sure you're not spending too much on the front end and accumulating unnecessary overhead. But, don't start the business and think, kind of like your point about the influencers. All over social media, you see, oh, hey, all I got to do is click these 3 buttons and I'm going to be making $100,000 a month.
Right.
Be patient, have a plan.
And maybe three people out of 100 might do that, right?
Yeah. But be patient, have a plan, and stick to it. And, most importantly, just don't get discouraged, because you're going to have days that suck. And, I saw something years ago that I was like, that rings entirely too true. It showed a graph with the day in the life of a small business owner. Wake up at 7 a.m. Oh my God, how am I going to make payroll on Friday? So you're all the way down here. 9 a.m. Great call with a new client. Things are awesome. 11:30. Employee slipped in the warehouse and broke his ankle. And it just followed that whole thing. The roller coaster of emotions that a business owner has just in one day.
Right.
But, just believe in yourself, be passionate about it, and you should do just fine.
I love that reminder of get started. Again, one of the big hiccups that I see a lot, or when I'm interviewing people, a lot of similar common denominators into what their advice would be to what you just said, is you got to get started, because your business will have different iterations, right? The product or service that you sell on day 1 is going to be different than day 100. And that's for good reason, because you're going to listen to the market. You're going to listen to the people who bought from you. You're going to see why they stuck around, if it's a repeat business or recurring revenue. And you got to shift it, and you got to continue to create something that's better and better. And there's no way for you to get to that highest success level that you create as a company without learning those things along the way, which means you need to do what? You got to get started, right? And a lot of people have this awesome idea that sits on ice for 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, and they never make the leap to do it. And it's unfortunate. So, and then you always see that thing about like on your deathbed, you know, people are always looking back. I wish I would have taken action on that one thing. Or what if I decided to do that? Man, that would have been a great idea. Someone else did it and it's a freaking blown up success. And it's like, that could have been me. Right. So I want to just encourage anyone who's listening right there, get started. And then Darren, what resources do you have personally or recommend? Maybe it's a book, a resource, an online tool, something for people to dive into so they can now take action. They're ready to get started. Now, what do they do?
So my website, darren.trytouring.ai. And trytouring is TRYTURING.
Okay.
They can see the whole suite of tools and services that we provide for business owners, be it funding, helping them learn how to grow and scale rapidly. And just check that out. And any questions, shoot me a LinkedIn message or. Yeah,
you're very responsive and you're willing to take those connections, which I really appreciate. Last one I got for you, man. We talk at the end of every episode about being great and being grateful. And I just want to know, I'm grateful for you being here, delivering your story, sharing some of those vulnerable messages with the audience so they can see the before, the middle of it, and how you got through it. But the other side of it, that was gratitude. The great side of it, how do you personally define greatness and try to achieve that every day?
That's a great question. I would say greatness for me is being happy in my own skin and bringing positive energy to those around me.
And that you're doing. That's something I felt with you the first time I met you. I'm like, I like hanging out with this guy. I like talking to this dude, you know?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I'm grateful for being on here and enjoy it as well. And if I'm ever in Philly, I'll hit you up.
Let's do it.
Go to your cheesesteak.
Yeah, we'll get a cheesesteak and look for some good wings. I don't know about if it's going to be the place that you ran. My cup actually, so I don't know. This is another chain, First Watch. Have you ever had breakfast at First Watch? It's actually really good.
Yeah, no, they've got pretty big down here. I think they're up to 15, 20 locations.
The $1 million bacon is ridiculous, right? I mean, it's so good. But they got on their cup right here. It's a good day for a good day. So let's leave the audience with that. It's a great day. I'm going to change it up. It's a great day to have a great day. Man, I am so grateful for you being on the show. Delivered a lot of value to me and our audience. I just greatly appreciate you being here today.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks, brother.